Hello! Welcome to the stream. David Snowpack here from Snowpack Games. I just realized something as the stream was beginning, that the time zone has changed. Like we switched to daylight time in the United States, and so everyone who is used to tuning in from Europe or like anywhere that isn't the United States, I don't know who else is synchronized with our daylight time switch here in the United States, is not expecting the stream to happen for another hour. So yeah, that's why there's not as many eyeballs as I usually have at the start of the stream, I think. But for those intrepid few who made it at the unexpectedly earlier for you, but the same for me time, thank you for coming. How are you folks doing? I don't have like a ton going on by me, except that I'm going to GDC next week. I'm actually leaving tomorrow. I've never been to GDC before, and I'm super excited to go. If anyone else happens to be going, like send me a message on Discord or something, because it'd be really cool to meet up at GDC. There's a whole Godot contingent going, a whole group from the Godot engine team, as well as W4 and Ramatalk and a bunch of other commercial entities. GD Quest is going to have some folks. And some games, some people who made games with Godot are going to be showing their games at the Godot booth at GDC. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. But yeah, that's just filling up my brain with travel prep, getting ready to go. All of those things. I also just noticed too, like, does it always cast this much green on my face? From the, well, whatever. You know what I can do? I can just sort of, could I point this way? Is that better? Do I got less green on me? Okay. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming to the stream. I hope you're doing all right. Let me know how your projects are going, how things are going by you, if you guys are playing anything cool. I'm not really playing anything. I've been playing No Man's Sky in VR primarily, but then this week I haven't played at all. I've just been tired because daylight savings time, like I mentioned earlier, they've switched up the time on me, and then in the evening after my kids go to sleep, when I usually would be playing No Man's Sky, I've just been going to sleep. Going to sleep at the same time as an 8 and 6-year-old. It feels good, actually. It's great. We should all sleep on the same schedule as 8-year-olds. But yeah. Again, I apologize for not realizing the time change and this being an hour earlier for everyone. But yeah, if anyone is in fact actually out there today, please let me know so know that I'm not just talking to the void here on the stream today. We are going to be working on the same prototype that we were working on last week. I have actually gone through at least like 2 extra iterations of it. So I think I'm going to go back a little bit and talk about what I did since the last stream, which isn't exactly where I'm at right now. So as I mentioned, I want to make a game kind of like Bridge Crew, where you're collaboratively piloting a spaceship, because Bridge Crew was recently decommissioned. That game no longer exists, which is such a shame. Like all these server multiplayer-oriented games, like eventually all have to die, right? Because the developers aren't going to keep maintaining the servers. But so I thought, hey, I could make like a sort of cut down kind of clone of Bridge Crew. That would be fun. And sort of to get started with that, I decided to try and prototype how you could pilot the spaceship. In Bridge Crew, it's of course using the Star Trek license, so you have controls that look like Star Trek, and I kind of felt like that's really limiting. That being freed from the Star Trek IP is probably allows for making cooler gameplay stuff. And I kind of had the idea that what if you controlled the spaceship not via physical controls sitting in front of you, but imagining a world where you're all wearing AR glasses and you're creating these holographic, like virtual controls in front of you that you're manipulating. And I was like, well, how would you pilot the starship then? So I had this idea about having a sphere that you would grab on points and rotate the sphere to change on any 3-dimensional axis, and use that to set the heading of the ship. And so we were working on that last week, and I got stuck on some math, which I eventually did work out. I did end up implementing the math as I was trying to implement it. It didn't work quite right. There were I was trying to do it with matrices, and there were problems around the poles, and then I came up with a way to do it with Quaternion, and I'll actually show that. I think I'll show that to you guys. So if anyone was watching last week and was waiting in suspense for how I was going to solve that problem, I did actually solve it. But then it turned out to just be a terrible way to fly the spaceship. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel good at all. So I've gone through a couple more iterations since then, and we will pick up there after going through the introduction stuff. I can see some more eyeballs have arrived. Some people perhaps have become savvy to the time zone change. Anyway, let me know who's out there. I don't know who's there unless you say something in the comments. I just have an eyeball with a number next to it. But thanks for coming in any case. You don't have to say anything. It's fine. You can be anonymous, but it'll make me feel better. All right. So last week, actually, I'll switch back to. I put a tag in the Git repo so I could easily go back to this. We were trying to make this ball that you would grab on a point and then move, and then that would change your heading. And I want to show you guys that working. And the solution that I found, because there ended up being just this magical Quaternion method, is one of the like 6 constructors for the Quaternion object in Godot that I didn't know existed and was not documented. It had no documentation. Turned out to just do exactly what I needed, which is really cool. And I did end up making a PR to add the documentation to the Godot docs. So I was baffled. I didn't know what it did, but now going forward, other people will be able to look in the docs and know what that method did. So let's get the Godot editor running on this tag. We're going to run RC1 because I want to prove to you that it had no documentation. My documentation PR was merged in RC2 already, which just came out today, I think, or maybe late yesterday. I'm not sure. Could not open ship body TSCN. Why? But you're not supposed to open ship body. You're supposed to open the thing I just checked out. Well, that's weird. Oh, probably the editor remembered that I'd had that tab open, but that scene doesn't exist in the tag that we went back to in Git. But yeah, let me just get my VR headset going here, and I'll show you guys the thing working, and then I'll show you the code in this magical Quaternion method. We need to get the Oculus casting page open. Just give me a second to put on the headset. This always takes like a minute and a half or whatever to work out. But after that, we'll be lightning fast switching to the headset. All right, let me get things set up in the headset. And I actually just remembered, because I switched Godot versions, it's going to be mad at me. Well, first of all, let's get casting going. I will cast from my headset to the computer. There you go. That's what I'm seeing here in this headset. But I don't want to show you this version. I want to show you guys the older version, which it's actually going to yell at me, isn't it? Okay, well, you're just going to have to believe me that no documentation existed and now it exists. I'm going to open this up in RC2 so I don't have to wipe out the Android build directory and recreate it. Oh my gosh. Twitch spam bot. My only comment for the day from a Twitch spam bot. Let me block them. Let's see. Can I delete them from Discord also? Awesome. Cool. Okay. Let's deploy from Godot to the headset. What are you talking about? I just switched to RC2. RC2? Oh, because I just downloaded RC... Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind. The thing I was saying earlier that it was going to be mad because I switched to RC1, it's actually mad because I switched to RC2. So here we go. We'll stay in RC1 until a little bit later. I do want to test out RC2 some. Stable RC1. Template installed RC1. All right. We are going to have to wipe out the Android build directory. I couldn't avoid it. Android build. Let's go into here. Install Android build template. Do it. Go. All right. Now we will deploy to the headset. Oh, and yep, this Gradle issue. Like I said, the first time we send the game to the headset and get all the headset casting stuff set up always takes a little while. And it didn't work. Okay. Second time's a charm, usually. There we go. Okay, so we have this ball. You don't see my hands. In the last stream, we actually turned the hands off because there's this weird bug where sometimes when you're using the GL compatibility renderer on desktop, like the hands like explode and take over the whole screen. But I can see my hands, and I'm grabbing at a particular point on the ball, and I turn, and the ball turns basically exactly where it should. The spaceship turns in response. So the watching David be bad at math time last stream ended up working it out, and it turned out to be really simple with this quaternion method. So let me just show you the code for that, and then we will move on to the current state of the prototype and what we're working on this week. So where do I want to look? I want to look in here. No. I think the magic is in controlball.gd. Yeah, so last time I was trying to come up with a way to do this with matrices where you would grab a point on the sphere, and then when you would move to another point, it would essentially unrotate the sphere by the position that you grabbed it, and then rotate it to the new position that you moved it, as a way to get this movement relative to where you had grabbed it. And I don't know, I was just thinking on stream. I always get dumber on stream because the pressure, people watching you, that sort of thing. And I didn't manage to work it out. I did work it out off stream with the matrices, but there would be issues when you rotated near the poles. Like, they're not here now because we're using this quaternion thing, but whenever you would be up here, like, just weird stuff would happen, or down here at the South Pole. But it was super complicated, involved like a ton of different transforms, and it turns out there's this really sweet quaternion constructor which takes two vectors on the unit sphere. So the unit sphere is a sphere with a radius of 1. If you give it a vector at some point on the surface of the sphere and a vector at another point on the surface of the sphere, it constructs a quaternion that describes exactly that rotation from the one point to the other point, which was perfect because for folks who watched last week, the way that we were doing this is that we're basically turning when you're grabbing, we're constructing a vector on the unit sphere representing the position that you grabbed it. So like we already had these unit vectors, and it just turned into like this one line of code, did the whole thing, which is really cool. And I'm super glad that I dug that deep into math related to spheres and found this constructor. And as I mentioned earlier, at the time, the constructor wasn't documented, so I had to sort of reverse engineer it. Like I found the math for doing this operation, this where you take 2 points on the unit sphere. Where the heck are the constructors? Just take me there. Yeah, see, there's currently no documentation for this constructor. I had to find the math for doing this, and then was trying to figure out how I was going to do it, and then saw this constructor and was like, oh, it's already here. But like I said, I did contribute a PR. So if we were to open up RC2, which we're going to switch to now because I want to test RC2. I haven't had a chance to test it. There is now documentation from that constructor. So anyway, yeah, that's my catching everyone up from last week. Let's dig into what we're actually working on this week. Main. And just get switched over to the right branch and the right version of Godot. Spaceship crew. Thought you were going to open that directly, because aren't I in that directory? Hang on. Oh, I'm in the Android directory. Okay, I was off by one here. And I need to again install the Android build template. No. Oh, I need to get the export templates in general because I just downloaded this. When did it come out? When did RC1 come out? Or RC2, I'm sorry. Today. Earlier today. I'm definitely like, I know it's like super minor, 4.0.1, but I'm very excited for it to come out just because, you know, people are still getting around to trying Godot 4, and the fewer crashes that they can experience when they try it just makes me feel better. Makes me feel more secure, less vulnerable. Yeah, install Android build template, blah blah blah. And I guess to close the loop on the quaternion constructor thing, it is now, if I can find the right spot, documented. Constructs a quaternion representing the shortest arc between 2 points on the surface of a sphere with a radius of 1. All right, so the rotating the ball thing turned out to be bad. It didn't feel good. I flew around the space, and it just wasn't right. A couple of the problems were you could far too easily rotate the ship on the ship's z-axis when you didn't intend to, which is fine. You're in space. You want to be able to rotate around all 3 axes, but we're humans. And when we rotate on the z-axis, it is very uncomfortable. It is nausea-inducing. So it was very difficult to say, like, okay, I just want to rotate on the x or y-axis. Also, when you got upside down, things got a little bit unusual, because I don't know if you saw in there was like a little mini version of the ship, and it would kind of show you your orientation inside of the ball that you were rotating. And it got very confusing. So I spent some time thinking about it and realized I don't actually want to set the heading of the ship. I want to control its angular velocity. So basically, I want to be able to set it in motion along some combination of the 3 axes, where most of the time I don't want to touch the z-axis. And when I release the controls, I want to stop applying any angular velocity, right? That would feel much better. So my second iteration involved still having a sphere, but having a smaller sphere inside of it that you would sort of move around on the 3 axes. And that was better, and worked. I mean, it worked, but it was still kind of unintuitive with regard to the z-axis. So I ended up deciding the z-axis just needs to be treated completely differently, and I came up with the current set of controls. So let me show you those. They're actually like a little bit more boring, to be honest, than the original sphere idea. The sphere just seems so sci-fi, so alien from what we're used to thinking of a spaceship, because spaceships are usually basically just done up as like airplanes in space, right? You get a joystick and those usual sort of controls. All right, are you loading? Are you loading? Okay, so I made this little mini-map thing, which is what's up there. I don't know how well you can see it on the casting, but there's a little tiny version of the spaceship in there, and it has the these cubes, which I'm pretending are asteroids. It has those in there. And this is a throttle. So in the previous prototype, we were just always moving forward at some fixed speed because I hadn't made the throttle yet. But yeah, simple enough. Move it up and down. And then here's the more interesting control. So it's no longer on a sphere. It's on a, I guess, a slice of a cylinder, but it's a circle, essentially. And you move up, down, left, right to move on the relative X and Y axis. So here we're rotating on the x-axis, up and down, and I'm inadvertently rotating a little bit on the other axis. I don't know why, though. Something weird is going on here. I have a suspicion that my grab area is in the wrong spot, because look at that. Why am I doing that? Why is that happening? All right, we'll do some real-time debugging here. Let's go into our spaceship scene, which is where I have the hands. And yes, it does appear that the grab areas are off-center. So let's send that to the center. And okay, that one's already centered. Okay, so the grab areas should be at the same point as the balls. I ended up, my previous solution for the hands wigging out and doing crazy things was to just make the hands invisible. And that got annoying also, so I replaced them with these little spheres. So we don't have proper animated hands or anything, but it's just a prototype. It's fine. We're trying to prove out that controlling the spaceship feels good using these controls, basically. And we don't need hands for that. All right, let's see if that... There's this thing. I was actually talking to Freddie about this last week, and I told him I'd make an issue in the on GitHub about it so that he could look into it. Freddie is the Android maintainer for Godot. That like every third time that I tell it to deploy from Godot to the Quest, it just doesn't work. And then I tell it again, and then usually it does work. It's very annoying. Okay, let's see if this fixed. Yay, we fixed it! Okay, so this rotates us around the x-axis, rotating left and right, rotates us around the y-axis, and also the x-axis too, if I'm not very precise with how I'm moving it. I put this little like snap zone in here, which is supposed to help me not inadvertently rotate around the axis that I'm not intending to. This feels off in another way, though. We may have a little more debugging to do here. So, okay, I'm going to try to move just left, only left. And I move slightly up. Why am I moving slightly up? Move to the right. Again, I move slightly up. What is going on with that? Okay, well, we'll debug that in a moment. Let me just finish explaining how this is supposed to work. And then you do the z-axis by turning your hand, rotating your wrist. And that's actually why this switched from a sphere to this sort of like upright looking thing. It's to encourage players to grab it this way. Because if they were to grab it this way, it's really easy to rotate your hand to the right, but real hard to rotate your wrist to the left. Wow, I'm spinning like a madman. Okay, we need to work on this. We need to work on this. It should not be... Okay, the roll is right, but I'm also moving a little bit up. All right, well, let's dig into some code here. Let's fix some bugs. I'm wondering if maybe like the calculation that I'm using to remove the snap areas is wrong. So let's go to the way that this is done is there's like two separate sub-scenes for the throttle and for the steering hologram, and then they have their own scripts. Here's the script for the steering hologram. And yeah, so the way that I'm removing the snap zones seems to be wrong in some subtle way. Okay, so yeah, let's focus first on this, like trying to move on only the X and only the Y, and why that appears to not really be working. So what we're doing is we're setting the mesh that we're grabbing to the global position of the thing we're grabbing it with. Then we're clearing the Z because we want this to stay on a specific Z position, not move forward and backward. We're checking if it's greater than the max radius away. If so, we limit it so we can't take it outside of that circle. Then the stability zone stuff comes in here. So if the X is less than the stability zone or it's greater than negative of the stability zone, we clear it to 0. Same for the Y. And then let's ignore the wrist stuff for the moment. I may even comment that out just so we can be sure that it isn't having some bad effect on what we're trying to do here. And then when we're turning that into a target rotation, we're taking, I guess let's just think about the Y for now. So the up and down position changes how we're rotating around the x-axis, right? Because it's confusing that the x-axis is what sort of changes our orientation, like up and down, when you think of y as up and down, but whatever. That's how 3D is. So we're taking the y, and we are subtracting the stability zone from it, and then we're dividing by the total radius minus the stability zone, which actually, the stability zone exists in positive and negative. So are we supposed to be subtracting the stability zone times 2? So what we're trying to do here, actually, to make this maybe more clear, is we have like this total distance that you can move the grab mesh, and then we want to transform that into just a ratio from 0 to 1, saying I've brought it all the way as far as it can go, or I have it at 0, between 0 and 1. And then in the game, maybe different ships would have different like turning abilities, such that for one ship, cranking it all the way up only rotates you a little bit, and for some other ship, like cranking all the way up just turns you immediately. But from the perspective of the controls, we just want a number from 0 to 1, or actually from -1 to 1, right? Because you can go both all the way up or all the way down. So we subtract. No, okay. I think this might be right? Because the -1, 1 thing. So the stability zone does exist on both sides, but as far as like a ratio is concerned, we only need to think about one of the sides, and then the other side is just the negative, right? Right? Does that make sense? And this sine 0 should be okay. Or I'm sorry, the sine pose y should be okay for 0, because the sine of 0 becomes 0, so then we're not subtracting anything. I think we might need to print some of these out and look at the values to try and get an idea of what's happening. So I want to get the raw values from target rotation. Well, let me type. There we go. So we'll say target rotation, and we will use ADB because Godot is not, or at least I should say Godot 4 is not super reliable about sending us the debug messages to the console. So we'll do that as kind of a backup. And let's see what target rotation values we get for when I'm manipulating the controls. Hey, Ruben, welcome to the stream. It's going all right. How's by you? Take two. No. I hit the wrong button. That was that issue with it not deploying on the first try again. So yeah, we're gonna debug this for a little bit, make sure everything feels like it's working the way it should, and then after that, I actually have a bigger task planned for this stream. I wanted to create some challenges that you would have to fly, that you'd have to use the flying to accomplish. But for now, let's just fix these bugs. Okay, I actually want to see this. So target rotation. I'm going to attempt to rotate only around the y-axis. So I'm just going to move a little bit over. That actually seems to have worked. That felt right. Let's see if the numbers agree. Oh, geez. Let's stop this for a second. Scroll up. Yep, I rotated only on the y-axis. Let's try rotating only on the x-axis. Okay, that felt a little bit off. It felt like we were doing a little bit of y rotation. Interesting. So the target rotation seems to have been fine. I wonder if it's like we're doing this lerping. We're like lerping the angular rotation from the current to the target, and it's possible that that is not working right. So yeah, let's print that out too. And I'm going to make a little change to this too. I'm going to say if target rotation does not equal vector 3, 0, so it doesn't print out anything when it's 0. That'll make it a little easier to manage. Okay, so we are taking the target rotation that we get from there. We're multiplying it by speed, which gets us an angular velocity. So it turns this into a how many radians per second we want to turn. And then we are slurping. Ooh. How much you want to bet it's the slurp, the S in slurp. I think that might be moving us along the other axis. Well, let's print out the angular velocity. So let's say current angular velocity. Some water effects you're working on, Ruben? Cool. I have never gotten that big into shaders and effects and stuff. I love seeing those things, but I've never dug too deep into it myself. If you have some images or something to share, I'd love to see. Logan, who is sometimes on the stream, although I don't know if he will be today, is real into VFX and shaders and stuff. Okay, so we're going to print this out. We're going to say if current angular velocity does not equal vector 3, 0, then we'll print it out. All right, I'm willing to bet this is it, that I shouldn't have slurped, I should have lerped. But let's give it a try. And we'll get this running again, showing us 80B. Okay. All right, so I'm again going to attempt first the y-axis. Up a little bit. What do we get? Right, so then it doesn't go down to 0 immediately. It takes a while to work its way down to 0. And it shouldn't be printing anything. I guess it's probably not exactly 0. But let's go up here and check what we got. So that should only have rotated us around the x-axis. It appears to have done that. That looks good. All right, and then where I saw the issue was on rotating around the y-axis. Ooh, that time it felt like we went straight there, though. Hang on. Ah, what did I do? I killed the window. That's what I get for trying to work in the command line through the nose hole. Or I don't even need to be in this directory, whatever, but we'll do ADB. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to move just along the X. So that seemed perfect. That seemed perfect. Or I'm sorry, just rotating around the Y-axis. Shifting on the X-axis relative to the controls, but rotation on the Y-axis. I wonder if we have to be still slightly in motion around one of the vectors for it to happen. Let's go back to ADB. I'm going to do rotate quick on the X-axis and then go this way. Oh, it totally just happened. Let me pause this so I can see it. Yeah. Okay. So what's happening is there's still just the itsy bitsiest amount of X rotation still happening, even though I can't tell, like I can't really see it in VR. And then when I try to move on the X-axis on the controls or rotate around the Y-axis, it sort of mixes them. It mixes the two rotations together, and it feels not good. So it's not just the slurping. Cool, man. Yeah, or if you finish it, Ruben, if you finish it not today or whenever, you can always come post on Discord. The Discord link is over there. Okay, so what are we going to do about this? Well, just because I want to see what happens, let's try lerping instead of slurping and see what that does. And then the other thought that I had was that we could also pick some sort of minimum amount of angular rotation. And then once we've gotten down to this minimum amount of angular rotation, we just zero it out. And maybe that would stop the unsettling feeling of rotating away that you don't really want to rotate. Okay, I'm in there. Oh, but we actually want to be, or no, it doesn't matter. I'll tell by feel, so we can watch the. Here, okay. So, whoa. So y-axis feeling good. X-axis feeling good. Y-axis feeling good. X-axis. I don't know. That might actually have fixed it. It also feels like our deceleration is a little slower, which I kind of like. It feels more like space. Now, this is good. It's interesting that my gut reaction was that I was using slurp and not lerp. And then we looked at the data, and it seemed like that actually wasn't necessarily the case. But now trying it with lerp instead of slurp, it feels so much better. I feel way more in control of the ship. Where did all my asteroids go? Here's where the mini map comes in handy. There we go. No, this is good. I feel completely in control of whether I rotate on the X or Y axis without anything unexpected happening. I can rotate on the Z axis as well. The minimap is super helpful. In space, it is very difficult to orient yourself. Okay. Ship it. It's good. Let's remove our print statements. We'll commit that to Git, and then we'll start on what I actually want to work on today. Yes, we want this spaceship TSCN. That's good. That was the hands issue we found at the beginning. Hang on. I just want to make sure I'm not going to commit anything I don't mean to commit. So this stuff here I don't want to commit. That's just the rotation of the planets. And it makes my Git real messy to actually commit that stuff. So git status, git checkout, space, TSCN, and we'll commit everything else. So fix grab area position and feeling of unexpected rotation. All right. So similar to the previous prototypes that we worked on for the one prototype per month thing, what I really want to test in this prototype is just how does it feel to fly the spaceship, right? Just that simple itsy bitsy thing. That's what makes it a prototype and not a game. But it's hard to test something when you don't have something real to do with it, right? If I just send this off to people and say, like, fly it for a bit, how does it feel? I won't necessarily get as good feedback as if I put some sort of challenge in there. So what I'm thinking is we'll have some challenge where you have to fly through some circle things, like Pilot Wings style challenges where you fly through like a set of circles. And I'm hoping that that will be enough pressure on testing this flying ability that people will be able to give me good feedback about whether or not this control system felt good or not, right? So that's what we're going to implement. First things first, I guess we got to start making a scene for these rings. I think I might actually take the headset off my head for a little while. It hurts a little bit, the extra weight. So we'll make a new scene. It'll be a 3D scene, a Node 3D. We will call it Challenge Ring. Challenge Ring. It's a challenge ring. That's what it is. And we need to give a mesh instance 3D. We're going to use a torus, which we will need to make stand upright. And we will need to make it much bigger and thinner. So, outer radius. How big is the ship? Actually, let's save the scene first before I forget to do that. Challenge ring TSCN. The spaceship body, which I've also debated whether or not I need to make the spaceship body a little bit more complex for the test. Something that I worry about is just VR sickness, like getting motion sickness, and having a completely open space. It's fairly likely to cause motion sickness in some people. And so I was thinking, like, maybe if I put some beams to sort of like frame your view a little bit, not really frame it, because one of the other things, hey Logan, welcome to the stream. I was just mentioning that you do VFX and shader stuff. How's it going, man? How are things out in the EU land where you do not yet have daylight savings time, but we do? Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to get away from the Star Trek IP and what, of course, was in Bridge Crew is that you sort of sit in front of a giant view screen, a giant television. I wanted to be able to like look around and see things, but it would still maybe be good to frame the views a little bit, like have a little border for the front and have the side actually appear to be like a window of some kind, because having your peripheral vision covered a little bit helps with motion sickness. But I don't know. Maybe I'll just test with this one, and if people get sick, sorry people, then I'll try maybe modifying the spaceship. So for now, it's just this flat surface, which is 6 by 6 meters. So if our challenge rings are going to let a spaceship that is 6 by 6 meters, which actually only one of those measurements matters, the X dimension, we will need for the inner radius to be, I guess, at least 3 meters. Let's say 4 to give us some extra space. And the outer radius, wait, how does this even work if the outer radius is 1? Shouldn't the outer radius have to be like 5 or something? That's weird. Did it like turn inside out when I made it be 1? Oh man! Yeah, that did go by fast. In a week, you're already going to be back? Jeez. And I guess that means, like, well, I didn't know if you would have gone to GDC anyway, but you're only missing GDC by a week, because that's next week is GDC. Okay, but this should be good, right? If we switch to this perspective, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, so that seems good. That seems good. And I'm kind of thinking we'll change the color of the ring from, I don't know, between 2 colors, depending on whether you've gone through it yet or not. I'm not sure what colors, though. Maybe green to red, because green says, come here, and red says, no, stop. I think that'd probably work. Yeah. So, because that announcement has happened, and like most of the, I guess I'll say technical details are coming out at GDC, it's probably okay to start talking about W4. But I remember telling you that what I was working on from W4 was boring. But I guess what I meant by that was, if you were to imagine just like the one line, like headline, like David Snopek hired by W4 to work on something, like what would you imagine that something would be, right? It's going to be multiplayer. It's going to be multiplayer technology. So yeah, after GDC, I can give you the full deets, but yeah, they hired me to work on their multiplayer products. I am going to GDC, yes. Yeah, I've never been to GDC before, and actually, even before I got hired at W4, I had already committed in my mind that the next GDC, I'm going. I'm just going. I don't care. I really want to go. And then now that I'm, with W4, they're actually paying to fly me out there and for the GDC ticket and stuff. And I'm going to be working the booth and doing work, of course. But it's really cool. This thing I wanted to do and am really excited to do now costs me personally a lot less money. So yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, so we need to make some materials. Let's make an initial material. We're gonna make it be green, I guess. And we're in space. I feel like metallic things are much easier to see. I'll test that theory in a little bit. I don't know, say 0.75 on both of these, metallic and specular. Yeah, I'm way too excited. I mean, I'm leaving tomorrow, so like I'm double extra excited, and it's like about to happen. Okay, and we're going to save this material. This will be like challenge ring green. Like as I'm doing this, I'm already like, I'm making a serious accessibility problem, aren't I? Because yeah, red-green color blindness, right? It's just a prototype, so like I shouldn't I shouldn't be. I don't have to think about this. So what is a color blindness? What are two colors that I can use that won't cause problems with color blindness? I don't know. Okay, well we'll do the red and green thing because I don't have any better ideas. If anybody knows like what is a better color choice, taking into account color blindness, I would love to know. I guess maybe the thing is making it configurable in the settings. Maybe that's the answer, or having multiple signals. Like I could have them be blinking when they're active and not blinking when they're not, or I don't know, something else. Anyway, for a prototype, not super important. Okay, so now I made the one material. We'll make unique, make it not be a saved thing. Or do I need to duplicate it? I'll duplicate it just to be safe here. Challenge ring red. And now we will make it red. Ooh, did I do it? No, I'm doing wackiness. Okay, undo, undo. Undo! I think I just changed the green one to be red. Or no, I am in the red one. I am in the red one. Okay, save it. And then I will test it by dropping this here. There we go. Okay. So now we need an area to detect when the ship is passing through it. So add an area 3D, which I'm thinking a cylinder on its side probably makes the most sense. Let's add a collision shape 3D. And we have a radius of 4, I think it was, so this should also be a radius of 4. A height of 2 meters actually seems fine. We'll rotate it around. Come on. What the heck? 90. There we go. All right, and so what we will do is maybe do like area entered and area exited. So you have to, or maybe just area exited because you can't exit if you haven't entered. We'll do area exited to detect if we have passed through the challenge ring. Ooh, and this is going to get interesting too if we start flying around a lot more. So one of the things, and I think we even talked about it at one of the earlier streams, that I'm worried about is floating point precision, because it's VR, so you're going to be making all these tiny movements with your hands. So we need to have pretty precise, we need a bunch of precision to get those fine hand movements in, but we're in space, so we're going to be moving the ship pretty far away from the origin, and you do have to go quite far before you start losing precision. But it'll be interesting to see as we get further from the origin if that has an effect. I think for a full game, for not a prototype, we'd have to consider doing something where rather than moving the ship, we move the universe around the ship, because the ship is where the people are always going to be. And we need to have that high precision for the hand movements and head movements and all that stuff. And then we just bring the rest of the world to us instead of bringing us to the rest of the world. But for now, let's try this, and I guess we'll see what happens. So the spaceship has no detection area presently. We're going to need to add one. I guess I'll just throw an area on here. Or do I turn the spaceship itself into an area? I'm just going to throw an area on here. Maybe we will turn the whole ship into an area at some point, depending on what we end up doing with scripts. But let's just do this for now. So this will be ship body area, we will call it. And I guess I'll put that up by the ship body. And we'll make it into, let's say, a box shape. That is 6 by 6 by 1. That seems good. We're going to do some stuff with collision layers to make a new collision layer for the ship itself so that the rings can detect just the ship and not interfere with anything else. 3D physics. So I guess this would be player ship. So let's put this area on the player ship, and we are not going to have it mask anything. And then we'll go back to our challenge rings. We have this area, which perhaps the challenge ring itself should be the area. Let's try saying make scene root. Here, this looks better. So okay, so the challenge ring is an area 3D, and it is going to exist, I guess, on the environment layer. What are the other areas? Let's say it's not on any layer, but it detects the player ship layer. And yeah, we would also need, in a real game, we would probably want to have some collision on here rather than just detection. So maybe it doesn't make sense for this to be, for the whole thing to be an area. I might go back on what I just did. We'll undo a little bit here. So then the challenge ring itself is this scene, and then this is like a ship detection area. And then it will not be on any layer, but it masks on the player ship layer. And we'll add a script. And we're going to need to have both of those materials that we just created. So this would be like green material equals preload. What was it? Challenge ring red, challenge ring green, T-res, and then same for the red material. And we need to connect to the ship detection area's area exited signal, right? Yep, area exited signal. That seems right. Why didn't you put it in there? Oh, because we are disconnected. Let's get connected. All right, well now let's do that again. I'm too lazy to type. Just type it for me, Godot. There we go. And so then we want to just switch our material from green to red. So we will say set surface, or no, we need to set it on the mesh. Hang on, what is the mesh called? Mesh instance 3D. Okay, so we'll say on ready var mesh instance equals mesh instance 3D, And so mesh instance set surface override material 0. We want to set the red material. Okay, so what this should do is when the ship's area exits the area that we put on the challenge ring, it should switch from green to red. One thing is, though, we actually want the player to see it happen, ideally. We want the player to see the ring change from green to red. Otherwise, they won't know that this is even a thing. So maybe what we need to do for the spaceship is have the body area not actually encompass the whole ship, but just like a part sort of near the player, so the player will see themselves pass through it. So let's see what we can do here. So we probably want to have it still be the full width of the ship, or no, because if it's the full width of the ship, you could just sort of skim it. You could just have the corner of this box touch it, but you want to have the player actually pass through the center of it. So maybe what we want to do is something more like this, and maybe even move it ahead of the player a little bit. Let's maybe even make it 1. So that once the ring passes to the other side here, the player will see that they've passed through it. Maybe even a little more forward. Let's give it a try. So we'll go back to our space scene here, and we want to place one of these challenge rings. Oops. And we'll just put it straight in front of us, so it's easy to test. I'm just going to fly right through it. And then we'll make like a little course that they have to follow. Hey, The Clean, welcome to the stream! So, yeah, I mean, I guess we already talked about this on Discord, The Clean, but I did go through the whole thing with that Quaternion constructor and how I managed to get things working at the beginning of the stream, which I also realized when the stream started that daylight savings time had just started in the United States, which put the times between me and Europe like totally out of whack. And well, anyway, let's give this a try. I'm going to put the headset back on. Just give me a moment. All right. And we will deploy and... Ooh, casting stopped. Let's get casting going again. Waiting for my scene to load here. There we go. Let me start casting. Oh yeah, and the challenge rings should be on the mini-map. That's something else we have to do. But we will do that next. Okay, so let's just see if our code, where's my other controller? See if our code for switching the material after passing through the challenge area works. Okay, it happened way too late though. It worked, but I want the player to see it as they're passing through. So I think I perhaps moved it backward instead of forward. Spaceship. No. No, I did move it forward. Okay, I guess let's move it forward even further. Hang on, have I been moving the shape? Or yeah, I've been moving the shape. I don't want to move the shape. I want to move the whole area. So let's maybe put it there. Oh, another thing to consider is how wide the detection area is for the challenge ring. So maybe I'll move this. Well, okay, let's put it right on the other side of the mini-map. What'd I do? Hit N instead of S. Okay. And I want to be on this scene. Save this scene. And then let's go to our challenge ring. And I think this collision shape is just much too wide, or high, I guess. Let's say 1 meter? Maybe even 0.75 meters? All right, let's give that a try. Ugh. Yeah, so next thing after we get this working is we'll get it on the mini-map. And then we'll lay out a little course. And then I think this prototype is basically done with its first iteration. I mean, done enough that I can send it to people and say, hey, does this feel good? All right, so I want to see it as I'm passing through it. Still a little late, like, maybe the thing is to make this area thinner. So it'll be Z, we'll say 0.5, something like that. So when this exits the challenge ring, if this doesn't work, I'm just going to push it way up to the front of the ship so we can move on. I don't need to be super precise for this first iteration. All right, we're flying through, and it still changes so late. We're just going to crank it way up to the front of the ship. Hey, Lionel. Dzień dobry. Early only because the time changed in the United States. I had forgotten about it, actually. I got a DM from someone, from Claudio, saying, hey, isn't it really 1400 UTC? And I was like, oh, crap. Daylight savings time. Although I read that this is the last daylight savings time change we're doing in the United States. I don't know if that's true. I'm a little skeptical. It'd be awesome if it was true. That was better. Still. I think we'll roll with that. Can anyone else verify that we're done with switching to daylight savings time, or switching the time, I guess, because I guess we're staying on daylight savings time in the United States? If it's true, that's fabulous. Yeah, it doesn't make any. I'm not sure it ever made sense, to be honest. But man, it'd be so weird. Like my kids are 6 and 8, and if they when they're older, they won't remember what daylight savings time, what the time switch even was like if we're getting rid of it. I almost have more trouble imagining that than imagining than my own kind of reaction to it. So is using imperial units. I mean, yeah, you're right. All right. So what did I say we were doing next? We're going to put the challenge ring on a minimap. So the minimap system is super crude. There's probably like 1,000 better ways to do it, but the way that I have it set up is you make a group. I think it's just minimap, all lowercase, I think. I'll have to double check that. Come on. Yep, minimap. And then you add a special method. We'll steal the one from the asteroid that like creates an instance of that object for the minimap. It's crude. Let's go to our challenge ring here. We will make the same method. We don't have to do much else except that we are going to want to update it at the same. We'll want to update the minimap to match the when we change the materials. We'll want to change the material on the version of the challenge ring in the minimap as well. So we're going to actually hang on to an instance of it. And it's not the asteroid, it's the challenge ring. Oh, and we're going to need to disable its collision. So I'm going to have to say minimap object it's ship detection area. So let's grab that in an onReady var, onReady ship detection area 3D. Oops. Ship detection area set deferred. Or wait, do we have to do it on the shapes? I hate this that we have to disable. Or no, we can turn off monitoring and monitorable. Yeah, we can turn those off. So we'll do monitoring is false. Oh, we don't want var here. And then here we need to say if is it is valid instance or is instance valid? Is instance valid minimap object. Oh, and also to check if it's not null, if minimap object does not equal null and is instance valid, then we also do minimap object mesh instance set surface override material 0 red material. I don't know that it'll even matter so much, but you know, you will want to know if the minimap, if the ring is one you've passed through. I suppose an alternative to changing the material is we could just delete the rings from the minimap once you've already completed them. That would also be an option. I think there's like a bill in Congress that hasn't passed quite yet. So the thing that I read was that the bill passed last year, and that they had said that this year we would not do it again. Or maybe, I mean, I don't know. I was in such disbelief. Let's look it up. Daylight savings time USA. We'll see if the Wikipedia is up for it. Oh no, the Wikipedia thinks it's still happening. Proposals for introduction of year-round DST. In March 2023, a number of state bills have been introduced in a bill in the U.S. Senate until daylight savings time bill is passed in both U.S. Senate. Oh no! It's still happening, at least according to the Wikipedia, if we can trust the Wikipedia for news. Maybe we still have to suffer through it. How would you judge the VR state Godot-wise? Is it production ready? Would you recommend using it for serious games? I mean, we're talking about Godot 4, right? So Godot 4 is very nearly production ready. So like in general, at the moment, the performance in Godot 4 is just not very good. You know, the render has been re-architected, so we have the potential for making performance that's much better in Godot 4 than Godot 3, but as of like this exact instant, it's generally less performant than Godot 3. There's also more bugs and edge cases and all kinds of things. I would say Godot 4.1 or around that time. Godot 4 will be kind of on equal footing as far as like stability and performance and all those things as Godot 3, maybe even out to Godot 4.2. I mean, I guess it depends on what 4.1 ends up including. And that applies all to VR like doubly so, because performance is much harder to achieve in VR. than on normal desktop apps because you have to run at a higher frame rate. The lowest frame rate that's acceptable for VR is 72 frames per second, but most apps strive to run at 90 frames per second, and you're rendering everything twice for the left and the right eye. So it's basically like you're doing 180 frames, 180 FPS of rendering when you're doing VR, and so you need like maximum rendering performance. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things set up for a great future. But at this exact moment, I mean, we're still in kind of like a sloppy post 4.0 release era. When Apple releases sometime its rumored headset, do you expect Godot to support it at some point? Again, it depends on what Apple releases and how they do it. So Apple has had ARKit, right? Theirs is called ARKit, AR Core ARKit. I think theirs is the kit and not the core. I think Android is the core, which has been around for a really long time, and from what I understand is a very good API. If their headset is similar to ARKit, then we're already halfway there, because I think we do have some support for ARKit currently in Godot 3. There is something. There's perhaps only experimental, but there is some level of ARKit support. I don't do much Apple stuff, so I'm really out of the loop. So if it's something similar to that, then like, yeah, probably at some point. If it's something totally new, or if Apple decides to make its headset more locked down, like some of the rumors have talked about it being less of a general purpose device and more of something like where rather than just like you get an API and you build apps, that it's more like creating content for like a rec room or a VR chat kind of thing. So we'll see what they end up actually giving us. Yeah, I don't know anything about what's going on with Wikipedia. Okay, so what were we doing? We were trying to get the challenge ring represented in the minimap. I think we might have done everything we need to do for that to happen. We create a new instance, we put it at the global transform, we turn off its monitoring, we keep track of the object and set it to material. Let's give this a try. And as we're talking about Godot 4.0 bugs, I've complained about this one on the last whole bunch of streams, that every third time I try to deploy from Godot to my headset, it just fails and takes me back to the home screen, which we just got to witness. Another wonderful Godot 4 bug that will hopefully get fixed relatively soon. I have to open an issue for that one. Okay, so this isn't looking good already. We are not seeing the challenge ring on the minimap. Well, it's still changing color, so at least something's working here. What could be going wrong? So you have the group isn't here. I swear I just put the group on here. Did I put it on something else? Let's go look in Git to see if I put that group on some other scene. Okay. As the minimap group. Did I put it on like... I put it on the shape rather than the whole scene. Okay. Another instance of stream brain. My IQ drop associated with being on camera. Still no ring on the minimap. What is happening? Well, this should have been the easy part. So minimap, let's double check that that's the right thing. We go look at the asteroid. Minimap. Minimap. It is here in space. I guess there could be like an ordering thing that like it didn't exist at the time that we were generating the minimap. I hope that's not a thing, but challenge ring, create minimap objects. Let's just print something out here. Challenge ring minimap. All right, so in here, or possibly we'll have to open ADB to see it. We should be... Challenge ring minimap. Okay, so the function runs. The function runs. Let's go look at the remote tree. We'll see if it's in the minimap. Ship. Minimap. Map objects. Asteroid, asteroid, asteroid. So it's not. It's not in the minimap. But the function ran. Function ran, created its thing, returned it. I guess let's go look at the code that's doing this. I guess we'll print this out and see what we get. I mean, the code appears to be running. I'd be curious if anyone else, like anyone else's approach for, oh, Logan, catch you later, take care. Anyone else's approach for doing mini maps, because especially like when your normal world is 3D, like how you approach that. I guess this is a little bit unique in that the world is 3D and the mini map is 3D, which is different than usually you'll have a 3D world and a 2D mini map. I suppose you could represent you could have like resources that describe the minimap versions of your scenes. That might be a more organized way to do it. Okay, so first of all, it's not there, so still not working. And minimap object, challenging minimap, but it doesn't seem to print out. I wonder if we're getting a error and we're seeing the thing where errors are not making their way. Here we go. Could not set index monitoring on base nil. So you see this? This message should have been sent from Godot to the Godot editor, and didn't make it. Didn't make it here. All right, so that code is in here. So ship detection area. Already ship detection area. So why is ship detection area nil? Aha, because it hasn't been added to a parent yet, which means on ready hasn't fired yet. So how do we deal with that? Let's do setup for minimap. We'll add an extra function. This is again like a super hacky, ugly way to do this, but we're gonna do it. We will create this private method that we are going to call deferred. So setup for minimap, call deferred. Or actually, hang on. We don't need to pass in an argument because it can be self. So we'll do minimap object setup for minimap call deferred. There. So that should wait a frame and then call this when it should already have a parent and be ready to go. So let's give that a shot. A better way to do that when I'm not just trying to be quick and hacky for a prototype would maybe be to have several methods. So we have this create for minimap, and then maybe we have a setup for minimap function that gets called by the code that's initializing this minimap. But we're going quick and dirty for a prototype here. Hey, there it is. It's on the minimap. Yay! And we pass through it, and it turns red. Haha. All right. I think we're looking good. Let's commit this. We'll review the diff a little bit first to make sure there isn't anything we don't want to be in here. Oh yeah, there's some print statements and stuff. Let's get rid of this one. Is that in minimap? Yep. Get rid of this one. Let's add all the stuff. Oops. Review the diff. All seems fine. Let's commit it. Added challenge ring. All right, and now we need to do just a little bit of level design. I'm going to take the headset off since it's a little bit uncomfortable. We'll design up a little course, and then I'll put the headset back on to test it. So in space here, I guess let's start largely two-dimensional, and then we will add some verticality as we go. I think, yeah, we'll do kind of like a curve. We'll do a kind of like a curve this way. Maybe something that takes us close to the planet and then far from the planet. So we don't want it to be right. Well, we want it to be sort of right in front of us so that you immediately know what you have to do. Which, that seems pretty good. And then we will duplicate this a bunch and lay them out. And I'm just going to kind of do them sort of randomly for now. This is going to be all about iteration. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Hopefully that button doesn't do anything. Oop. I don't know if I left one there. I did. Okay, cool. And maybe go like that. Okay, I think that's good as a basis. We're going to want to rotate these a little bit. Start with the first one here. I guess we want the first one to be largely head-on, actually. We'll go to the second one, And we're going to rotate this one a little bit towards the player. And let's say we'll bring it up. Ooh, that's a horrible perspective. Okay. We find... Oh, geez, I just clicked in OBS. Did I break everything? No, we still seem good. Okay. Whew. So I want to bring this one maybe a little bit up. And maybe we'll set the first one a little bit down. Then let's look at the top view again. For this one, I think we kind of want to keep leading them sort of this way. So I'm going to put a similar kind of rotation on this one as I did on the one before it. Maybe a little bit less so. Yeah, that looks good. And let's get the side view to see what kind of verticality we want to do on it. Maybe we'll keep leading them up for a little bit. And then for this next one, we'll head down and start to curve them this way. Yeah, so maybe we'll keep this one straight, or maybe even a little bit turned to the right to sort of orient. Oh, and this is space too. Should we do something where you have to like dive? That could be interesting, but let's stay simple for the moment. So actually, I'll turn this one just a little bit this way, not a ton. And I want to bring you down. And yeah, maybe because we're going down, I'll even turn it this way a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Then over here, I think we're going to keep turning the player out this way. Keep them heading downward. Yeah, I think I am going to do a bunch of rotation on the x-axis there just to play with that a little bit. So let's do some more. Let's do some more on the x-axis. And then this one we'll bring even lower. I keep accidentally pressing stuff in OBS and it's freaking me out. Sorry guys, if the stream abruptly stops, that's why. All right, and now we're gonna head very plainly in this direction. We might need another ring, actually. The distance between these two is a little big. Let's maybe bring a new one over here. Yeah, how does that compare? Yeah, that looks better. Okay, and this one, I guess, could even come back this way a little bit. And we'll keep tending this way. How's that look vertically? Yeah, this seems good, and we'll maybe even rotate this way a tiny bit. Try to bring them back up. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that feels, but it probably will feel terrible, and then we will adjust it. So I guess I'm putting the headset back on already. Give me a second. All right, and actually let's try to use a feature of Godot that is buggy even in 3, but it can be helpful. Let's try this. We're going to do the small deploy with network file system and have the scene changes turned on, which will hopefully allow us to adjust the positions of the rings in the scene without having to redeploy. We'll give it a shot. Oh, yep, casting stopped. I'll have to get that reset up. Yeah, those planet shaders, I think, are what makes the game take so long to load. Well, and I just switched to the network file system thing, so that may also have had a potentially negative impact on getting this going. Ooh. Oh, that seems good. Still not seeing anything, though. Just try it again, see if second time's a charm here. So this makes it look like it's successfully starting. But I'm still seeing nothing but blackness on this end. All right, let's disable this small deploy with network file system. It's possible the scene changes thing will work even without that, because it's supposed to. All right, it's working now. Ooh, this is crazy. Let me get the sharing, the casting going. So just loading in here, seeing it from this perspective, it looks like there's way too many rings. But let's see, I'm going to go kind of medium speed here and try to pilot myself through the rings. I guess I'm going a medium slow speed, but I want to get a feeling for the angles. Maybe go a little bit faster. So I came through here. Point myself up here, and so I don't see the new ring on the mini-map yet, but I see it pretty clearly just in the world. Oh, now it appears on the mini-map. Just as the other one disappears. It's actually pretty good rhythm, probably. This one is going to send me this way. Well, now I'm having to shift way to the right here. That might not be ideal. I think this would feel better, actually, with that one kind of halfway between the two. Let's try a editor adjustment and see if it does actually happen. So let's go back here. This one we want to move there-ish. Let me see what we get in the headset. Haha, it worked. It did move it. I'm not sure if that's a good angle for it because I don't know how big of a turn we'll have to make going through the other. There's a ring up there. Oh, the mini-map ring's still in the old position. Oh, this is cool. I just sort of like on a whim changed my Z orientation, my Z rotation, and put the planet under me. And that change of perspective feels awesome, especially with the the shadow on this Earth-like planet up there, that is really cool. All right, here's another adjustment I think I'm going to make. This next ring, I think, should be further over to the right here. So I just went through this one. This next one here, I think, should be further to the right and possibly a little bit up. Let's take a peek at how that looks. Maybe a little bit down. Did I move the right ring? Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4 rings remaining. I'm trying to remove the next closest one to me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's the right ring. Did it actually move? Here, I'll try to do both things at once and see if I can see it moving. Oh, it's moving. It's moving. Oh, because I'm rotated. I am turned. Okay, hang on. So I'm seeing the world. So I'm like this, which means the direction I actually want it to move is down and to the left towards the planet. Okay, so I actually want it to move down towards the planet. Maybe more towards the planet. Okay, less towards the planet. This is actually really cool to see my level edits happening in the headset. There. That's pretty good. Maybe a little bit this way. Nope, not that way. Or maybe. Okay, so let me show you guys what this is looking like. I now have a pretty decent path. So it looks like I'm going to go down and up and then kind of veer to the left, which, since I'm rotated, like, which way was the original up? This was the original up. No, I like the way it feels going this way. We'll zoom through here. That's a decent angle. That is leading me to the next ring. Yep, the minimap positions are wrong because the minimap is not moving with our impromptu map edits. So this one seems fine. The next one is tricky. I think this next one needs to meet us part of the way, or that it's just way too close. So this is the second to last one. One. And so I'm seeing the world like this, so I need it to come this way a little bit. Let me see in the headset. Oop, nope, that wasn't right. Yeah. All right, so that seems more manageable. We do have to do a little bit of a dive, but it's not that big of a deal. And these rings do appear to be a little bit closer together than the others, but I think that's okay. I suppose I could space them out a little bit. We're going to close on a view of the Earth-like planet framed through the last ring. Okay, let's try that without all the stopping. I may want to increase the speed of the ship just to like get you doing more like risky flying. Come on, compile those planet shaders. Okay, here we go. All right. So I'm going to hit it up to high gear here. Whoa! Through one ring. Oh man, for this one I might ask people to do like a cast or something, like to cast what they're doing, because I'd love to see at what orientation different people choose to take the course on. You know, you don't have to use any particular definition of up. And I think we definitely need to increase the ship speed, because while this is a super comfortable speed, and I'm flying, it's very easy to control. I think I want to push it a little bit to try and get to the limits of it. Let's gain a little altitude there. And we'll probably want to scatter some of the asteroids among the rings just to add a little bit of extra. Yeah, I'm going to say double the ship speed. People don't have to go that fast. That's why there's a throttle. But when full throttle is too easy to control, max speed 20. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that course. It's not too tricky, not too straight. Let's just test with double of a top speed. I'll probably run at top speed just to see what that feels like. Woo! Okay. All right. Shipping with this speed, still manageable, but puts you a little bit on edge. Oh, maybe it needs to be even higher then, though, because you want to you want to have a reason. Well, you don't have to have a reason to slow down and speed up. I'm not testing the throttle, right? I'm testing turning. Well, what if we just double the speed again? What if we just double it again? We'll take the Sid Meier approach here. Double it or half it. Deploy failed. Try again. Okay. So, whoa! That's not even the full way. Oh, geez. I'm scared to just put it this last bit of up for the full speed here. Whoa, out of control, out of control. I can't do it. Spin around, see if I can catch the ring I missed. All right, so in that case, the top speed is probably too fast. Which, is that fine? I mean, that might be fine. Oh, I missed another ring. I missed a ring way up at the beginning also. If we kind of want to say, well, people aren't probably going to go to the full speed, and if they go to the full speed, we should expect that to be tricky to control. I don't know. Let me try it again. Maybe I'll split the difference with the last top speed, but so I'm again not all the way up to the top speed, but this is probably the top that I think I can do it with. Yeah, I mean, this gives you a reason to manipulate the speed. I think I'm going to stick with it. I think I'm going to stick with it. Yeah. We'll stick with it. And you can get to the other planet relatively quickly, even though it's just a sphere. There's not anything really there. But yeah. Let's do it. Okay. My car is too fast. Literally no one ever. Okay. Not my checklist. Okay, so let's commit this. This is a decent course. It's good. Good enough for our purposes. All that seems fine. Add challenge course, and then I think we're going to add some asteroids to just make it a little more interesting and to give a little bit more perspective. Like with no landmarks in space, it all feels kind of samey. So let's get some asteroids. It'd be kind of nice to have the asteroids rotate a little bit. That would be kind of cool, but I don't know if I'll add that. Yeah, handling high speed is part of the challenge. Or at least, yeah, I think it is part of the challenge. Can you use this to control the ship in the way that you want, and under some amount of pressure? All right, so we're going to do some more asteroids here. I'm just going to kind of place these sort of randomly at first, and then we'll go in and we'll tweak them. Do I want to... Okay, so do I want to have the appearance of kind of like an asteroid belt? No, I don't think so. We're not thinking that long distance. We're just going to kind of make the asteroids be close to where you are, to the places that you're going to be going. Maybe actually favoring places between the rings so that you have to maneuver. Well, you don't have to. You can just pass straight through the asteroids. Actually, there's no collision. But people will want to not collide with the asteroids whether or not they need to. All right, we'll go back to kind of where I started. And we will add some rotation, add some rotation and some different verticality for the different asteroids. Again, sort of randomly on the rotation, the verticality. I guess I'll try to make them be near-ish to the path that the player will be taking. It'd be kind of nice to just make a little like editor tool that randomizes rotation, because I don't want the rotation to seem too samey. Oops, I was trying to rotate. Nope, nope, nope. I was trying to rotate. More than anything, probably is just adding a little bit of randomization to these. Oop. Ah, did I just move it up? I did. Okay, let's see what kind of plane we're on here. There. Here. Here. Yeah, assuming this seems nice. I mean, there's 5 minutes or so left of the stream, and I think this prototype might be ready to go out to the world for testing and whatnot. So I'll post a link on Discord and on Mastodon when I have it hosted somewhere. I'll put the WebXR version up somewhere. Kind of want to put this one right by the mouth of the final. Okay, maybe just on the other side of it. So I feel like it's framing the planet, and if we come into the planet with kind of an asteroid in our side view, that just feels more interesting, composition-wise than. All right, let's give it a test. Let's give it a final, probably test. Perhaps second to last test. I don't know. We will see. Okay, that feels so much more chaotic with all those asteroids out there. But let's give it a try. All right, so these two are just kind of interesting. They don't get in my way or path at all. This one sort of does. Ooh, slow down, slow down. Getting too fast for me for a second there. Ooh, these ones we sort of pass between. That's kind of nice. So far, none of the asteroids have really occluded the next ring on the path. This one's the first one that does, which is not ideal, to be honest. I think we might want to move that one. We don't want it to occlude the path to the next asteroid, or next challenge ring. Yeah, that actually worked pretty good, the end asteroid kind of being by where the planet is framed. I like that. Really, the only problem I saw was where the one asteroid occludes the path to the next ring, which I think might be this one. Let's, I don't want to move things unless I'm sure it's the one. So let's just start at the beginning again. I'll fly there, and then we can move that one out of the way a little bit. So that was 1, 2. Here comes number 3. 3. And here's 4. And I think the asteroid after the 4th ring is the one that we want to move. Because I believe it is the one that is occluding the path. Yep. So let's stop. Are we stopped or are we moving slightly backwards? No, we're stopped. Okay, so I think towards the planet. I think that's where we want to move it, towards the planet. Let me get into here. So ring, ring. Oh, come on, where's the beginning? Let's go back to our spaceship. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then I think it's this one. Needs to move towards the planet. Let me look in the headset and see where that is. Yeah, perfect. Let me just make sure there's no other issues on the way. Yeah, putting a little randomized spin on those asteroids would be so cool. Oop. Down here. Yeah. All right. I think we just made a prototype, guys. I think we can call that a prototype. It's feeling good to me. What I think, of course, doesn't really matter. It's what players think, what it feels like to people who are not me, who is not the developer. But yeah, it's ready to go into your hands. Anyone who is willing to test, I would appreciate it immensely if you could test. Say added asteroids to course. Well, hey Coding Phase, welcome to the stream, to the Facebook platform. So you mean like to the Quest? I mean, right now I'm running it as a Quest app, as a Quest 2, but I don't usually distribute APKs because most people don't know how to get them, how to sideload them onto their headsets. You actually have to like make a developer account with Meta and put in your credit card information and whatever. So I usually, when I send it out to people to test, I send a link to the WebXR version where you don't have to install anything. You just open it up in the Meta browser. Hey, hey, Pa. Yeah, I will definitely send it to you. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming to the stream. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Next week, I won't be streaming. I will be at GDC, the Game Developers Conference out in San Francisco. But yeah, I'll still be on Discord and whatnot if you want to hang out there. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in 2 weeks. So take care, everyone. Thanks. See ya.